Welcome back to Satisfactory, where today I have some big plans. We're going to revamp completely our iron factories. For example, screws, iron plates, but that's not all. We're also going to build a completely new computing factory where we're gonna make many things. We're gonna make computers, of course, but we're also gonna make a few other things. So that's gonna be a really cool one, especially because we're gonna need to transport a lot of different resources there. That's gonna create transport problem. So I hope you're excited for all of this. This is also going to bring a few new blueprints into the game, and therefore, blueprints that I can share with you on my Discord community. I don't think we'll get to heavy modular frame in this episode, probably only in the next one, but we may also do a couple of other small things. Of course, don't hesitate to tell me in the comments below if you have any questions, thoughts or requests, and also, of course, don't hesitate to check in the video description below if you want to see the link to the full playlist, because this is already episode 12, and each of those episodes, of course, focuses on one or two big productions. Okay, so let's dive right in. First things first, why do I want to do a new screw factory? Why do I want to even upgrade my iron factories like the one that we have here? Basically, this is all over here, right? We're taking a lot of iron ore over there, transforming it into iron ingots, and then we have some constructors to do a couple of things. The first one is to do iron plates, then the second is to do iron rod, and then we have also screws, right? And this is working well, right? Like, I'm not saying there is a problem with it. The problem is it's not big enough, right? I mean, iron plate, for example, we have 20 and 20, that's 40 per minute. There has been many times in the recent episodes where this was completely empty and I just wasn't making enough for me to develop. Similarly, for the iron rod, we're making only 30 per minute, and the screws, I think we're making 120. So it's a bit higher, but it's nothing compared to what you need. I mean, for one computer, you need 500, for example. So this is why we're going to delete all of this and upgrade it. Another reason why we can and should upgrade it is because I have a new recipe for iron, a better one. So basically, yes, I'm going to delete all of this, there's no reason to keep it. By the way, I'm also going to delete this one here because this was for rotors, and we have, and this is taking a lot of space. It's all of this over here. This was for rotors, but you may remember we made a whole factory over there in the back that was making rotors, motors, and stators. Okay, so it is. The whole factory for rotors has been deleted, and all of the factories over here on iron, the iron plates, the iron rod, and the screws have also been deleted. And I actually started to build something over here. Looks cool? Not? I don't know, you tell me. But don't worry, we're going to rebuild it together because this is all blueprints. If I do F and blueprints, you can see I can delete the whole thing over here, the whole thing over there, the whole thing over there. And as you can see, when I do this, the only thing remaining is a couple of elevators that are linking those different blueprints. Let's also delete them, of course, for now. Okay, and now we can start rebuilding. Going to my blueprints, we have a new iron category. We'll have smelters, constructors, and there's also iron refinery. I'll show you later on. Starting at the bottom, we have one miner Mark II on a pure node that's 240. Goes up into this elevator, we can make it pretty later. And that's what you saw before, right? 240, we're gonna want some smelters on this one. It's gonna be basic ingots, but later in the episode, I'll show you a new recipe. Divided by 30, that's 8, right? So we want 8 smelter. And that's why I have put this blueprint over here of 8 smelter in one blueprint. You can see it over here. Basically what happens is 4 on each side. I'll show you in a second, a bit inside. We have the entrance here at the bottom left corner, and we have the exit on the other side, 2 exit actually. So obviously you want to make sure that it faces the elevator. I always put my elevator in the middle of the foundation, so it's easy to align with the middle of this. And yeah, let me just quickly go inside over here to show you. We actually have an underfloor I just opened, which is where the resource comes into this elevator there, and that way it's pretty clean. Comes over here in the middle, and then we have 4 splitters going into those smelters, right? The recipe is already put there. We have electricity that's on those beams at the top there, 1 beam, 2 beam, etc. Right, we just need basically to connect the electricity to that outside one. And yeah, on the outside then you have mergers, mergers on this side and merger on this side. The reason I separated it is for the next step, you know, for usually when you make a lot of ingots, in this case, you know, it's 120 on this side, 120 on that side, it's probably going to be hard to have just one line of constructor that's going to take 240 versus a line of constructor that takes 120. That's feasible, and I'll show you in a second. But yeah, that's basically, you know, the blueprint. So we have a blueprint. As I said, the only thing we need to do is over here put an elevator Mark 3, a belt Mark 3, and here we're gonna need electricity. So let's connect it, and that should start. Now we're gonna see, yeah, it's moving, and we're already getting some ingots on the output. It's not all green yet because it takes a second, you know, to get all of them full, but I can guarantee you this is the perfect ratio, so it's gonna get full pretty quickly. And we're gonna want to transform those ingots into screws. I do have an alternate recipe that's using steel, so that's not gonna be very useful in this case. We're gonna do the normal recipe, but in a way bigger scale than before, right? Before we only producing 120. I'll tell you how much in a second we're gonna produce now. But yeah, this is this recipe, iron rod into screws. So we need to make first the iron rod. We have two new blueprints, 8 constructors. Right side, left side. What is it? It's basically the input. You know, do I want the input on the left side or on the right side? And it's a good idea to make those type of blueprints that can easily, you know, be used in different situations. So it is, for example, you can see it is on the right side. So we can do this. And by the way, remember that you can always click here to add it to your to-do list so you can see what you're missing. For example, I'm missing one iron rod here. Not sure how, given I just deleted it, but that's fine. And just go into my central storage, copy one, and we're done. By the way, remember that it's usually good when you're doing blueprints to press R so that the build mode moves to blueprints. That way it snaps pretty easily. But if it doesn't, remember you can also press H to lock it and then use your arrows to move it slightly where you want. But yeah, this one is gonna be fine. Then we just need to connect electricity from the bottom to the middle and here to the top. And then we're gonna want a couple of elevators, right? We're gonna want this one to connect here and that one to connect there. So now you should see them all starting. Can go on the side here. Go for it. Did I forget something? No, starting, here it is. Yes, perfect. Look at this, love it. So basically each of those blueprints has 2 layers of constructors. Each of those layers has 4 constructors. So there's quite a lot of space. You know, you can make it a lot more compact, but I felt like it was nicer to give it some space. Let me go inside and show you what is happening. And basically we're getting the ingots in the middle as always, splitters, and then the constructors are transforming the iron ingot into rods, and those rods are being merged over here to the output, right? That's the merger that you can see here. By the way, this merger, as you can see, also has an elevator to bring all of the rods that are made on the floor below. Let me show you that also. Closing back up and opening this one. Good. So this is the floor below, right? So this is where we're bringing initially the ingots. They're being split between this floor and the floor above. We have the same thing, right? Where we're transforming into rods, and then those rods are merged and sent to the floor above. We also have lights, right, all around to make sure that it is nice, to make sure it's still nicely visible at night. And yeah, we do this exact same thing on the top, except that the entry point is on the other side. So basically the only difference is here, right? This goes directly there versus on the other it was going here and then there. Well, that's oops, that's not the one we want. Sorry. Don't hesitate to tell me in the comments if you have any questions or thoughts about those blueprints, but it's also really good that obviously it's very easy to build this blueprint, change the recipe as I want, you know, and that's also why I made those classic numbers of like 8, 4, 4, You know, this way it can be used for many different productions. And then we just need to get the output somewhere. We could have built another blueprint on top to do the screws, to basically be a very similar one, but I decided to show you can also do it differently. So instead of getting, you know, the elevator up into another of those blocks, we're getting it down this time. So let me do this. We have one over here and one over here. Perfect. So it goes down here, gets merged right into this one. So now we have this belt that's bringing 240. Now 240, that means we need 24 constructors because each one is only taking 10 iron rod. And then we're making 40 for each of these. So it's 40 times 24. So it's a lot more than the 120 we were making before, right? Which also means, by the way, that for the outputs, we need many belts. You know, there is 2 over here and 2 more over there. Otherwise, with Mark III, that wouldn't work. But yeah, what I did over here, you know, is also blueprints. This was the blueprint I had created in the previous episode. That's over here, which is just 6 constructors already planned with the splitters in the middle, mergers on the side. So it was super easy. You know, I put 1, 2, 3, 4 of those, and then just have to put a couple of splitters on the sides and put the belt over here to bring all of the screws to the output. So yeah, we have 24 of these. It comes over here as being split on this side and that side, plus over here, and on this side and that side, right? And then it goes onto all of those belts. To all of those belts, basically what I did is there is 2 that are going to the truck station, make a lot of screws, and there are 2 right now that are just going directly into some sinks to just make me even more coupons. You know, we have 37s right now, so that's great. In the future, we can of course start to do something with these. Also, when I get Mark IV belt, we can clean this up and make it better. But yeah, this is the upgrade for the screw factory. It's not so much upgrade in terms of efficiency, it's still the basic recipes, but it's way bigger. For the other iron products like the rods and the iron plates, we're gonna do the opposite, where we're gonna start using different recipes. I'll show you that later in the episode. Before we do so, for the screws, we have also created a route. You can see it over here, right? We can actually follow it. It's gonna go somewhere. Where will it go? You know, this is this one over here. Goes towards the center of our base. Now, where are we going to do the computing factory? We're going to do it over here, right? Don't hesitate to check in the previous episode if you want to see this factory there that we started. This was for oil, right? This was the first oil factory. We have here an oil deposit, another one over there. This is being transformed into plastic, into rubber, and a couple of other things. But there's quite a lot of space in the middle here. And obviously, this is because we need plastic to make computers. We're going to make it over here. So as you can see right now, it's quite bare bone between the base and the top. And you'll see in a second that it won't be anymore. And here is the after view. We still have the base there, right? You can recognize the base, obviously. Even the top, you probably can't recognize it. It's quite different already. But most importantly, in the middle, right? Very different. There's a lot of windows, as always. You know, I love my windows, especially in update 8. Brings a lot of nice light into the factory. But I also try to have different shapes all around the factory, right? It's not just one big block. This was definitely not a blueprint, though. I built this manually. I know some people are gonna say, why? Like, you should never do that, but I still like to do that. I think, you know, Satisfactory is also about building sort of those factories sometimes by hand. So it is, I'm showing you all around. This was the water part, you may remember, right? But we have closed here, we have a big window. And yeah, we're getting all around this factory before we get into it. Here we have this nice roof. Can really start to see what's happening at the top of the factory. And here we have our trucks coming into this factory, a lot of trucks. The first one being, of course, the screw, right? We need to bring those screws that we've started to make. Where is it? Somewhere over here, right? You can see the small tower. This was the screws. So we're bringing the screws, but we're bringing also many other things. Actually, you can see here what I'm bringing. We're bringing screws, but we're bringing also a couple of other things. Let me show you what's happening here. Actually, let's take a quick look from that angle about the station, there is actually only one truck station. We'll talk about this in a second. There's those curved pillars over here, right? And over here we have an entrance if you're walking. We have another entrance there, by the way, and a couple of others, you know, there's stairs there, there's another entrance. Maybe let's actually take this one for now to get inside. So what are we going to build? We're going to build a couple of things. We're going to build computers, we're going to build high-speed connectors, we're going to build AI limiters and circuit boards. So 4 things are in this factory, on top of course of the 2 we were already making before, right? The rubber and the plastic. And to do this, we're gonna need a couple of different resources as inputs, let's say. The plastic, of course, but also cables, screws, quick wires, and copper sheet. So this is why all of those resources are being sent underground. We're also sending underground, you know, the plastic, you can see it over here. And all of this comes from trucks. Everything has been automated to come from trucks over here into this one station. So let me show you what is indeed happening here. We have this truck station that's bringing, you know, things. For example, if I look now, you know, there is some cables, there's some screws, there's some quick wires, some cables inside the factories. There's another truck that's coming soon. Then we have obviously a smart splitter. Split first the coal. We are bringing coal to make sure there's always fuel into the station. Oh, actually it's empty now. Another of those problems we're gonna talk about. But yeah, there is this to get some coal over here and everything else goes there. Then the first one is going to get the cables, right? If you get cables, you go this way. This is full, great. If it's full, then overflow goes to the center. Then second one, you know, screws. So it goes here, overflow goes to the center. Then the same for quick wires, goes here, done. Then continues, and the last one is copper. It goes here, you know, if it's copper, it goes here. If it's full, or if it's something else, it goes that side into an awesome sink. The reason for the awesome sink is that obviously this way, this continues to always move to make space for the next truck that's going to deliver. And I think while we're at it, while we're here, let's actually talk about the problem. I mean, as you've seen, right now we have no coal, for example, and we're also probably very low on copper. I mean, not very low. We have quite a lot of copper, but it's not full, right? It's definitely not full versus all the others are full. And this is because I'm bringing everything, you know, all of the trucks are going into this truck station. And they don't all bring the same thing, right? Screws bring 500, quick wire 500. The cable is only 200. The coal, I think, is only 100. And the copper sheet is 200. So they don't bring the same amount of resource every time they come. And also they don't all come with the same frequency. If you take the copper sheet, for example, they're coming from here. It's not that far. If you take the quick wire, it's a bit further. If you take the coal, it's even further. And the screws, it's in the middle. So basically the distance is different. So they don't come, you know, as often. So I'm not getting the same amount of resource into the factory. And the second problem is basically I'm getting too many things into the factory per minute. You know, we're delivering each time a lot of resource and it is a bottleneck. Over here, this belt, this Mark III belt is basically my bottleneck, right? All of the resource needs to come from there. And only then this can be empty to make space for something else. For example, to make space for the coal, because we're empty on coal now, and that's a big problem because some of those trucks may stop if they don't get coal. Now obviously if I had a higher marked, you know, 4 or 5 belt, that could help. Another thing that could help, that I could start using the second output there, right? There's a second belt. The problem is, I mean, I could basically double all of those things, right? I could have another smart splitter here and goes into this one, another one goes into this one, etc. And then I would need another awesome sink, right? Otherwise probably wouldn't have that much. Another thing we can do is have multiple truck station, right? I mean, a perfect, in a sense, easy would be to have one truck station per resource. Then that's very easy. The one problem though is we need also to manage to send coal to all 4 of those truck station, but that's totally feasible. So this is a bit one problem. The reality though is it still works, you know, it's not perfect, but it still works. we are making all of those resources. If you see over here, circuit board, and of course it's taking some time, we're not full yet, but it's definitely getting there. I'd love to hear in the comments below though if you have any other solution, any other better solution to fix a bit this mess, because I'm sure I may have forgotten something. Now let's move into the factory. As always, we have an elevator and we have stairs. Let's take the stairs this time. We get into a major, as you can see, sort of stairway that's gonna go multiple stories, right? Because we're gonna have multiple stories in this factory. Going first all the way down, right? Let me go down, 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 and down. We get into the floor that you may remember. It is just missing a lot of lights, as you can see. It is very dark. We have a few lights on the passage, on where we're supposed to go, but we don't have a lot of lights elsewhere. So I'll fix this in the future. You can see I started to play with the small billboards, which requires actually crystal oscillators instead of quartz crystal, but I didn't finish. But apart from that, this is what you already knew, right? This is why we're making a rubber, a plastic, transforming also the heavy oil into petroleum coke, transforming the coke into energy, which is great because I definitely need energy. I added also another elevator and stairs that's going to get us to the middle floor. But yeah, there's no difference here. I just want to show you this is still the same. I just need to add a bit more light. Then we do have a new floor over here, the middle floor, which actually has nothing. As you can see, it has nothing, but it's hiding all of the fumes. All of the fumes are coming over here, right? The fumes from all of the refineries and from all of the fuel generators, they're coming into this floor. So this is a pollution floor, if you wish. We need to have some air scrubbers. Now, this is not a huge factory floor. There is actually very few assemblers and manufacturers. We have 1, 2, 3 assemblers over here, and we have 2 manufacturers. One manufacturer is gonna make computer, one manufacturer is gonna make high-speed connectors, then 1 assembler for air emitters, and then 2 assemblers for circuit boards. Why 2 just for this one? It's just because we need a lot of circuit boards. You know, I need circuit boards to store, and that's what you can see over here, but then we also need circuit boards for those 2, so that's why I kept it. This was the stairs I was talking about before, by the way. There's a lot of windows, but you can see it's still quite dark in the middle. I haven't put any lights yet, so we're gonna fix this. But yeah, what is happening? We're bringing the 4 resources I mentioned before, right? The cable, the screws, quick wire, and copper sheet. They're going over here, sometimes being split, sometimes just used in one places. And then on the other side, we're bringing also some plastic, which is split on those both sides. So let's start over here while we're at it with the assembler of circuit board. It's plastic and copper. So we have the plastic coming over here being split at the ground level, right, into this one and that one. And then we need the copper sheet, so it's this one here. I just put it in case for the future and also to make sort of those angles very nice 90 degrees. Then we have over here actual splitters that are useful with elevators going down. If you don't remember how to do this type of layout, an elevator like this, you know, the minimum level of an elevator, it's basically the equivalent of 3 layers of splitters, right? You can see this is the same height. So that's what you do. You put 3 on top of each other, then you can delete those 2, and then you're just going to put your elevator like this, and done. So that's what's happening for the circuit boards. We're then merging them. Then we have the smart splitter that I mentioned at the beginning, where we say first send them into storage. I always like to have first storage before anything else. And then when that's full, we can start sending it here, where it's going to be split into both manufacturer, because it's used there, right, for computers, and also there for the high-speed connectors. So that's the circuit board. Then next to it, we have the air limiter. It's next to it because it's using also copper sheet, right? You can see it's over here, and it's also using quick wires. So it's that belt here at level 0 at ground level. Now, quick wire also goes, if we follow it all the way over here, into the high-speed connector. And then the last one is cable, right? We can see the cable over here. It's that one following it, obviously it comes here. So we have the same thing, right, where we're sending 90 degrees, a splitter with elevator, a splitter over here with elevator. So that works pretty well. And then last but not least, for the computers, we also need plastic and screws. So the plastic is coming over here at ground level, that's easy. And the screws are at the highest level. So it's actually, 4 layers of splitters. If I show you, it goes to the fourth one. So the elevator over here is slightly higher, but that's easy. And then, yeah, we have the output, obviously. We're making the computer here, the high-speed connectors. They go there into those, and all of this goes up into the storage. So yes, this is a computing factory which is able to make 15 circuit boards per minute and 5 AI limiters. And when this will be full, then it will also be able to make 3.75 high-speed connector per minute. And it could be making 2.5 computers if it had enough circuit boards, but it's never gonna have enough. This is 25. So what I suggest is you actually change the clock speed to 45%. That means we're only going to make a bit more than 1 per minute, but then it's going to be a perfect productivity because this is 11.25 circuit boards. We also need 3.75 circuit boards here. So this is exactly the 15 that we're producing there. So as soon as this is full, then this will work perfectly at 100%. Don't hesitate to tell me if you have any questions or thoughts about this factory. But yeah, we now have a computing factory making all of those advanced computer models. And maybe you don't agree, but I do think I made a pretty cool factory around here. So we are done with the screws, we're done with computing, and we talked about my transport problem even if I didn't really fix it. Last but not least, we want to upgrade iron. We want to upgrade the iron plate and the rods with some blueprints, but also with new recipes. So let's go back into my city so I can show you this. So in our smelter, we have the basic recipe of transforming 30 iron ore into 30 iron ingot. It's a 1-to-1. It's not bad, but we can do better. We can use the refinery to do alternate pure iron ingot. We're gonna use a bit of water, but it's not too much. It's 20, and the water is basically unlimited, right? There's water everywhere in the world. And then we only need 35 iron to make 65 of iron ingot. So it's almost a 1-to-2, right? Almost a 1-to-2. So we're almost going to double the iron ingot production that we can make. Now there is actually also an alternate recipe to make out of iron a lot more iron plate than the basic one. The basic one is from 30 you go to 20, which basically means it's less than 100%, versus for this one you make out of 50 you make 75, so it's more than 100%, but you do need also a bit of plastic. You also need assemblers, so it's more complex, takes more energy, those type of things, but it's definitely better in terms of efficiency of how many raw ore you use to make the iron plate. Unfortunately, we haven't found that one yet, so we're gonna use the basic one. But as you saw, we're already doubling our iron ingot production, so we can definitely make a lot more iron plates than before. Now, in terms of blueprint, I already made a quick one for the refineries. We have 3 refineries. We have already the pipes that are connected. We have already also over here the floor holes. For some reason, I wasn't able to put the conveyor lift. Don't hesitate to tell me in the comments below if you know why. I feel this is a new bug, but yeah, I couldn't put them. That's gonna be easy to put, that's fine. I have also put the mergers on the outside. We've also put the recipe already, right? I have also put over here the electricity. As always, I'm using a metal bar all around, and we have the connection of electricity. And I've also put, by the way, over here already a walkway, so we can easily walk on top. So that's definitely the first blueprint we'll use, and then we'll probably also use a blueprint for the actual constructors. Now, one big difference though is I can't really put this blueprint, those refineries over here where the production used to be, because we're gonna need water. It's not like water is over here. And remember that water requires pipe, requires also probably pump if you want to put it higher. On the other hand, moving the iron is pretty easy with belts and elevators. So that's what we're gonna do. We're actually going to build a bit more over here. We already have, our coal factory there. So I think what we're gonna do is probably align it to it. we're gonna have more water extractors there and build just on top of it, you know, the refineries, and then on top of it the constructors, etc., and then basically bring the final resources somewhere over here at that level, at the level of the highway, so that whenever we need, we can bring those resources with trucks somewhere. So I haven't actually planned the exact layout of it, but let's do a time lapse of this, right? First of all, I'm going to just drop all of my resources that are not useful. I'm going to take the resources I need, which right now is going to be mostly, concrete and iron to be able to make a good foundation. And then we'll have the resources we need. So it is a first quick time lapse to start this. We have at the bottom 2 water extractors that are underclocked. The reason is basically you need 20 for each. We have 6, right? So that's 120. 120 is exactly what one water extractor does. But I don't like to have water extractors working exactly at what they need because it never really works like that. So I'd rather have 2 that are underclocked rather than one that doesn't work exactly as it should. Then we have one pump on each. Can click on it to see that the head lift is okay. And it goes over here. We've used the blueprint twice, right? Then we connected the pipe. We have electricity, right? That's connected. Yeah, and then I just brought all of these ingots. We bring them up to the next floor. I brought electricity, so now we can see the water is actually there, but we're missing the iron. For the iron, what we're gonna need is we need to bring it, right? It's somewhere over here. I could bring it somewhere over there with belts. We could have somehow a truck that would bring it over here. I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the fact that over here I can have multiple belts, right? We already have one, but I can put another one. So I'm gonna use a belt. It's gonna come from here all the way over there. Then here we'll go, under with an elevator, then maybe also an elevator somewhere over here to go down, and the same an elevator over there, of course. So let me build this. Then of course we'll have to also put over here the next step, the constructors, and then bring the final resource over there, and then maybe build a bit of a small base there for trucks in the futures. So let me work on this now. And here we are, the factory is done. So we start of course with the Manor Mark II, right? We're making 240 of iron ore. This goes up. We already had this bridge before, right? It's bringing those two things, the automated wiring and the versatile framework, all the way over here. So now I'm basically using just below it. We could make it pretty, I haven't done it so yet. And then, we're gonna see this one with this elevator will go up to here. And so instead of using, the third one over here, which was for these ones, we're using the first, right? It's gonna continue, of course, all the way. Continues, you can see it over here, right? This is this highway blueprint that I've talked about in previous episodes. It's perfect for those belts. And then we do the same thing on the other side, right? It's gonna go down, across. Don't mind this is nothing. Going down, quite down, right? It needs to go all the way over here, right? And here, let me just delete this for a second. Comes all the way over here. Then we have splitters with those elevators next to the pumps, right? This is where we have the pumps. So we have the water and the iron coming into the factory now. Now, before I show you this factory that I think looks pretty cool, what are we doing with all of these iron ingots, right? We're sending those iron ingots here to this level over here. And then we have two new blueprints. This is blueprints pretty similar to what we've done in the past, but this time with 6 instead of 4. We have 6 of these constructors, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have the splitters in the middle, right? 1, 2, 3 splitters. We have the electricity running in the middle, and then on the outside we have the mergers, right? Merging here, and on this side, merging there. We have an underfloor to bring the resources there, right? And that's pretty much it, right? Like at the end we get something. In the case of this one, we're getting the plates, the iron plates. You can see them, a couple of iron plates, right? We're talking about 20 per minute for one, so that's 60, that's 120 per minute with this. And then next to it, we basically have the same thing but doubled, meaning we have 6 on this floor there and 6 on this floor there, so that's 12. And in this case, this is again, exactly the same layout. So basically what I did is created first this blueprint, and then in the blueprint maker, I just put this one on top of itself, and then I just had, obviously to do some small things, which is that if you go over here, you can see it. Instead of having just the underfloor sending everything upstairs, we have some going this side and some going over here to go into the second, which is basically the exact same blueprint but turn around, right? Like the entry point is this side instead of being that side. But yeah, apart from that, it's basically exactly the same. We are also then sending the resources up here and merging them with the rest so that everything is sent together. And then yeah, we have those two elevators, for the rods and the plates, sending into those two storage containers at the level of our highway. So then in the future, if we need to have trucks, I can put them over here. We may have to rework it a bit, but it's linked to it. It's easy peasy. So yeah, we're talking about 120 for this one, 180 for that one. So definitely increase significantly production, and on top of this we've created a few more of those boxed blueprints that can be used of course for others. In this case I put directly the iron and the rod inside them, but I can easily load this into the blueprint designer, take out that this is rod and put something else, and then use it for another resource. So yeah, slowly but surely we're definitely growing the collection of blueprint. Don't hesitate to ask me on my Discord community if you want to use them. But more importantly, let me show you a bit how this factory looks from afar. By the way, I have also connected it to our coal factories, right? So we're starting slowly but surely to connect each of the factories so we can walk from one to the other. Here it's connected this side, then you can go inside. We have, pillars. Those pillars we're using to support the factory. Some windows, of course, so we can see what's happening. I know it's mostly a cube, but still I think it works quite well. And more importantly, it didn't take me hundreds of hours to make, so that we can move quickly to episode 13, where we're gonna do heavy modular frames, as you can see. And with this, we'll be able to unlock some new milestone, things like Logistic Mark IV, Pipe Mark II, and others. So I'm excited for this. Don't hesitate to tell me in the comments below if you have any questions, thoughts, or requests, and I hope to see you next time.